did 2 days with clients.
Hello and welcome to Office Hours with David Meltzer and Rhett Butler and me, Blaine Bartlett. So,
how are you, my friend?
Doing well. You've been keeping busy, it sounds like.
Yeah, man. I Miami this week and Phoenix last night, and then got a red eye back here to Miami, continue to work, and then New York, and then Las Vegas. So next week with you and David, and so yeah, man, got to push the
push, and then hopefully you're going to get off the road here just around Christmas time.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Well, we got a good show today, I think. Just looking over the guest list, and but before we jump into that, how's Head of Mentals going? Yeah, the new book.
You know, I'm just having so much fun because this is such a scary topic for businesses. And, you know, I find that this is the missing link when we talk about culture. You know, we try to do all these things for culture. We try to do great benefits and like make it a really fun and safe place. But, you know, if we're not talking about our head being in the game, if we're not talking about self-talk, which, you know, you can do all that other stuff. But if you're not talking about people's stuff that we all carry around with us and that all impacts how we show up and how we perform and how we treat others, if we're not talking about that in this day and age, I think you're missing an opportunity. And I think it can be a competitive advantage if you are brave and courageous enough and to really talk to your people about this stuff, which, you know, self-talk is very personal thing. We say more things ugly things to ourselves that we wouldn't say to other people. We wouldn't have any friends if we did. You know, so it's resonating, and that's really good.
Good. Well, it's all about the experience. At the end of the day.
Indeed. How you doing? How's Thanksgiving?
Doing well. Had a good Thanksgiving and had the whole family here, and so a lot to be grateful for this year. A lot to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
And speaking of being grateful, we got a number of guests, 3 guests here that I'm very grateful that we have the opportunity to speak with. Going to be bringing Joey Goone up. Joey, where you at here? Coming out of the green room. There we go. Yeah, both Rhett and I, and also David, and David may or may not be able to join us today. I'm not sure where he's at on the planet right now. But if he is able to, he will just pop in and, we'll run from there. If not, we'll have you back on another show, Joy. But between now and then, your organization, and I love the name, Utopia Experience, is all around, it's all about creating experience in the meeting space. And so we, don't just have a meeting, don't just have a conference. Have something that creates an experience, a meaningful experience where people can kind of go, wow, I am so glad I was there. In addition, here's what I took away. But it's the, wow, I'm so glad I was there piece. The Unstoppable Foundation that I'm on the board with, and David is the chair of, we used to do a gala prior to COVID. The last gala we did was in 2020. But we would have 300-400 people at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, home of the Grammys and everything else. And the experience was extraordinary, absolutely curated experience. So a couple of questions here. What got you interested in this space, number one? But number two, what makes what Utopia Experience do? What do you do that is different than other event planners? I'll just generically position that.
Yeah, first off, I appreciate the context and the question, and I'm like elated right now, like watching the prior episodes and being here. I've got all the books that y'all have talked about, like, sitting here on my desk, meditations, my Bible here. What makes us different is really much like you said. And I tell stories, I think about anecdotes or stories. And I went to an event last week where it was a very expensive event. There's 150 CEOs in the room and our key staff members. And so you can think like, being out of the office for 6 hours, it's a very, very expensive event. And what they did was there was a lot of content that was generated from the main stage for 6 hours worth of content with 5-minute coffee breaks in between. Now, what I wanted to do in that space after that event was turn to fellow CEOs and key staff members and have conversations with them. And so I think what we as event organizers need to be very mindful of is something that you all talk so much about on this show is content is sort of becoming ubiquitous, right? Like I could sit on my couch and get content from anybody on TikTok or YouTube. And I think the two main reasons now people are coming to events, like the content is incredibly important, right? Your authors or your speakers or your masterminds, your gala, people want to hear about the work that you're doing that could benefit or enhance their lives in some way. Or with respect to the gala, they want to give because they want to feel some sort of meaning and purpose outside of themselves. But I think we have to go maybe a little bit further than that and look at the other two, the two C's. So it's content and then connection and community. And community is how are we showing up? What is the transcendent purpose of this environment, this mastermind, this summit, this national conference, or this gala after the event? And that's what we're trying to design for in all of these event experiences. And I can give you a couple examples of that if it'd be helpful.
Go for it.
Please. Yes, absolutely. That's a softball.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the gala. And so I've got like 50 ideas spinning in my. I'll give you one specific example with the gala. We have an organization we're doing a gala for in 2026. And by the way, you mentioned virtual galas. We first got into galas in 2020. The world stopped, right? And we pivoted, to use a cliche term, and we helped about 200 nonprofit groups during COVID raise about $50 million, and we were crying every night in our studio. And we're like, oh, we kind of fell by the intersection of, it was like necessity of the mother of invention and innovation, right? And we kind of fell into nonprofit purpose work. And so we've been working with charities now ever since quite a bit. And there's this one charity who, this year they're struggling with story. And so instead of Blaine, at your gala, did you all play like a really impactful video and then did like a fun to need or a paddle raise?
Oh yeah, we did it all. Yeah, over the 18 years now that we've been doing this. Yeah, we've brought everything in.
So this year we have a video activation, like a digital booth that people are going to step into, and they're actually sharing why they're showing up. Instead of the video being pre-filmed and shown on the screens the night of, the attendees will be the actors, if you will. They're going to be the one sharing their purpose, why they're there. And we have a video team that's going to be on site doing a same day edit, turning that video around of all of the people in the room sharing their why of why they show up for this nonprofit, then playing the video, having them turn to a neighbor at their table and continue to expand on that story. So I think it's the content, it's the connection, it's building the community, and how do we create maybe tech activations or meaningful activations where we turn to the person next to us to unlock the heads and the hearts of the people in the room.
Perfect.
Wow. Love it.
That's amazing. Joy, interestingly enough, I was at EO last night. I saw you're on the board of EO in St. Louis, and I was out there actually talking about connection and how self-talk, as you talk to your teams about self-talk and help them improve their own, then your teams get better and they're more connected. That's interesting. I was at the Phoenix EO last night and gave that talk. Really love that organization and stuff. But to the question, you've got an ebook. What's the ebook about? It's the conference planning blueprint. What is that? What is that about?
It is Ooh, wow. There are 36 pages in there of, I think, if you're producing a mastermind, a summit, an event of any kind, you should absolutely download this ebook. It's free, so why wouldn't you? And I would say there's been north of 500 hours that have gone into this from meeting professionals that do this through and through, that have produced thousands of events. And so what you'll get from there are sponsorship strategies, different kinds of software platforms that will help you with registration, how to think about audiovisual, because that is, that can be something that is very expensive as a line item. Content. How do you leverage your event as a content engine so that the event doesn't just live and die at the event itself? So that's kind of just an overall synopsis, Rhett, of what kind of exists in those 36, 37 pages. Okay. By the way, I appreciate your, we have to talk about that offline because I am the learning chair for through the 2026 year. So I want to talk more about that and see if we could bring you into St. Louis for an event.
Well, absolutely. Wow. We're doing LA in January, and we'd love to come talk to you. You know, you're my people. So
yeah,
I would love that.
Hey, don't overlook me.
Yes.
Blaine brings you in too.
We'll bring us both. It's a pair, the Bartlett pair.
It really actually is a good 1-2 punch, I think. But
love to do that. Joy, where can people find out more about what you guys are up to? UtopiaExperience.com, I believe, is the website, but is there anything else that you'd point us to?
Yeah, UtopiaExperience.com. And then do we have a QR code or a fancy thing that for the ebook? Or I guess just if it's not up there, you could reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name's Joey Goone. I'm probably the only literal Goone on LinkedIn and Instagram, but maybe not the only figurative one. We'll make sure you get that ebook.
We could talk a lot about that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many Goons.
Right.
So many Goons. And if you're out there alone and you're the accidental event planner, like you're the CMO or the account exec, or you're the executive assistant, and it's like the boss just kind of slapped this on your lap and said, hey, do your full-time role and also moonlight as the event planner. We hear you. We resonate with that so much.
I feel your pain.
That is why my mom started this company 23 years ago.
Yeah. So you've been around for a while, and I forgot to mention that just kind of in the introduction for you. This is a family business, second generation, and you're rocking it with what you're doing.
It's been a joy. But Rhett, you mentioned, Blaine, appreciate you acknowledging that. Rhett, you mentioned a minute ago, EO events. I was at an EOS event a couple of months ago, and Adam Hill, my buddy, is an EOS implementer, and he talked about how in legacy family companies, we're setting people up oftentimes for preservation, not preparation for the next legacy. And that really resonated with me because I have a lovely family here. My wife, Stephanie, and our 3-year-old Sage. She'll be 3 next week. And if she chooses to take over the company in however many years, 15, 20 years, I want her to have that opportunity. That'd be really cool. And so I love the distinction between preservation versus preparation.
Yeah, that's a great distinction. I do a lot of work with family offices, and that distinction is worth marking out. Absolutely.
For sure. And
folks been listening to Joey Goone, Utopia Experience. Yeah, check him out. UtopiaExperience.com. And we'll get you back on another show when David's available, Joey. Appreciate you taking the time to show up with us today.
Grateful for both of you. Shout out to Nick in the green room, the well-oiled machine.
The well-oiled machine. Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for the time. Appreciate it.
All right.
It's an honor.
I love going to events like he's describing, whether it's a mastermind or a gala or whatever it is. And when it's put together well, it is memorable. I mean, you walk away going, boy, I'm glad I was here. And that makes all the difference in the world.
And I'm sure you guys know that with Unstoppable, right? It's like, how do you top yourself year after year?
Oh.
Because the expectation is really high, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really high. And it's such what I love about it is such a creative business, right? You're always looking for that next thing that's going to excite people. Yeah.
Yep. And speaking about the next thing to be excited about, HughX. We've got A fascinating conversation here. Tia Katz, we'll bring Tia in. There you are, all the way from New York, New York.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Good. I'm so jealous that, well, I'm not the only Katz on LinkedIn, so, and I'm so jealous because I doubt my teens will want to take over this business. They want nothing to do with it. Mom is worthless pretty much. So, yeah.
Well, talk a little bit about the business. It's a leadership development firm, and you partner with Fortune 500 companies. Basically, the focus is on developing a leadership culture. Is kind of my take on what you're working with here, which is, for me, I've been working in leadership development for 40 some odd years. Most conversations and most developmental processes are targeted at the top levels in organizations. We're going to develop the leaders, and people don't understand that everybody's a leader. Yeah. Everybody in the organization is a leader, because leaders cause movement, and everybody's causing movement all the time. So how do you actually work with your folks?
It's very true what you're saying. There's something called the permafrost. Have you guys heard of that before? Right? Yeah. So we work a lot with executive leaders and folks at the top. What I've found is that a lot of times, grassroots initiatives can be coming from the best place, but the blockers are at the top.
Yeah.
That can happen so often. And so that's one permafrost, right? That's the frozen layer from down going up. But the opposite is what also happens, where executives come together, they make decisions on strategy and how they want their organization to move, and then they feel like nothing is happening. And so our role is, QX stands for human experience. Yeah, so the human experience at work.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So instead of thinking about UX as, predictor of NPS, why not start with the HUX? Because we know that the human experience, the engagement, is directly correlated with NPS that organizations get, and the client experience. So let's start there with HUX. And now I forgot the question that you asked. Sorry.
Well, just being able to matriculate it down into the organization. So disabusing people of the idea that leaders exist at the top. Leaders exist everywhere.
Right. They exist everywhere. And that needs to be something that, the people with power need to be able to give that power in order for change to happen. But I absolutely agree. There's, the different organizations say it in different ways, but having that owner's hat, how can everybody in the organization view the organization as if it belongs to them? What would you do if you were the CEO, regardless of where you sit? How do you take care of what's best for the organization, what's best for its people?
Yeah, I got so many questions. So I just did a book, and I like Blaine. I have not as many years, but I've been around for a bit, and in leadership development. And this book took about 7 years. It was a lot of research into sort of the missing element that we're not talking about in building a great culture. And I'm curious, from your perspective, the book is about self-talk, and it's, people don't walk in the morning and the boss asks them, "Hey, how's your self-talk today?" But what role does self-talk, you think, play in leaders and in team dynamics? And we can talk offline about, my sort of thought is, but what do you think? How does people's self-talk impact the way they lead and the way they show up, you think?
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to answer the question. I don't know if it's talk or way of being. And it could be that both of them are the same thing. Maybe the self-talk is, I'm a learner. I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from everybody. I'm here to learn how I can do better in my role. I'm here to learn about, things that I don't know about the business that might be new, and being in that humble place. And from there, building up, okay, who do you want to be as a leader? So there's this humble place that takes away ego, all these things that we build, these social constructs of what it means to be a leader, public speaking, how do we diffuse all of that, get somebody to a place where they're humble, ready to learn, ready to be, a true leader that serves. And from there, the self-talk is, what am I here to do? Who do I want to become as a leader? How do I want people to talk about me when I leave the room? 5, 10, 15 years from now, how do I want my direct reports to talk about me? What will they say about me? How do I become the leader where everybody around me becomes a better version of themselves?
Mm-hmm. I remember, and I love this question, Brett, or Rhett, I remember, my sister worked in a bank, and there was a merger that took place, and her bank was acquired by a larger bank and whatnot. And with that came a cultural shift, because the acquiring bank had a very distinctly different culture than the one that my sister was in. And the one that my sister was in was a very traditional command and control sort of a leadership culture. And the acquiring bank was much flatter hierarchically. And there was a lot more attention paid to agency. We trust you to make decisions, that sort of thing. And I remember a conversation that I had with her shortly after the merger. And she was just madder than a wet hen, if I could kind of use a term my mom would use, my mother would have used, madder than a wet hen. I said, what's going on, sis? She says, well, they want me to do this. They want me to do that. That's not my job. That's not my job. And from the self-talk perspective, that was probably the biggest barrier that she had in actually moving into that, in accepting, the new reality that she was moving into. That self-talk of, that's not my job. The questions of who am I and where do I belong? Those questions, they're kind of a terminal stay resident program in people's minds.
Yeah. And how I belong. I think so. Now I think that's a very important distinction, and I love where you're both heading with this, with the self-talk. I think behind that is, how am I being evaluated? And so when you work so hard in a hierarchical organization, and being asked to do something outside of your role description is so off-putting. It's like, do you not know what I'm good at? Do you not understand what I'm meant to do? That it's almost like disrespectful. So it's the place, and once you're able to move up, for a flatter hierarchy to come in, and you're like, what did I spend all this time for? Away from my family, my kids. Why am I slaving away if now everything is going to be taken away from me? So the self-talk, the transformation is not only cultural on the inside, on the outside, it's also on the inside. How do I value myself? What do I bring? How do I fit in how do I find value in both what I do and what I'm able to get? And it's a new definition of self. It's tough. It's messy.
Yeah.
But you get there. It's a growth process.
And that is the human experience. I mean, the old organizational development joke, we designed the perfect organization and screwed it up when we put people in it.
I never heard that.
I don't think I've heard in a long time.
I love that. Oh, that's so funny. You know what, though?
Yeah.
It does feel still like there's so much that we do exactly that way. Oh, let's design performance management in 9 boxes and da-da-da. But then in actuality, when you put it in the organization and there's people being put into boxes, that now it becomes almost like a what is it called? A self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like everybody knows I'm now in this box, so now I am going to be in this box. And by the way, nobody except the 5% that get, the bonus is happy after a performance review. So something, everybody leaves more upset. I'm mediocre? Are you kidding me? So everybody leaves less happy. So again, it's like this system that, works perfectly. And then you put humans in it. Ugh. Totally. What's that about? Yeah.
The human experience, and Tia's organization is called Hue-X, hue-x.com. And you can find out more about what they're up to. This whole question of leadership, Tia, I love what you and your company are doing with this, because in today's world, the model that Hannibal used when he crossed the Alps with the elephants, command and control, does not hold water today. It just does not. Leadership is a far more egalitarian process than what most people think it is, and it involves far more people and organizations than most people have ever thought of paying attention to. So you can find out more about human experience at hue-x.com, hue-x.com. Tia, great to have you on the show. Sorry David wasn't here. We will get you back on another show when he's available, and we'll just make it happen.
Perfect.
Thanks for being so articulate. I appreciate it.
And you're the only Katz for us. I mean, you don't have to be the only in the world.
Cat's meow.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah.
Good stuff. I love this conversation around leadership, and your question around headspace on that. I mean, that internal conversation that just continues. I mean, it's incessant. It's always informing my sense of who I am.
I have numbers on it. We have 600, 200 thoughts a day. 5,000 up to 5,000 of them are negative. So many of those things are on repeat. If you calculate that out, that's 1.8 million negative thoughts a year. And the fact that, I mean, that's a massive impact on how you live your life, how you show up at work, how you perform, everything. It has a massive impact on us.
It does. I mean, language creates reality. It also reflects reality. So if I'm not paying attention to that internal conversation, things get real squirrely real fast. And speaking of real squirrely real fast, performance is something that we really want to pay some attention to. And the rate of change is so rapid today that most people kind of lose a connection with how do they get in front of it? How do they actually accommodate it, work with it? And most people don't understand that the problem with change is not the change itself. It's the disruption to existing relationships that change causes. And my relationship with work process, my relationship with, fill in the blank. Tim and Adam Burke run a company called Quest Technology Management. And what we're looking at here is, how do you work with your staff, your systems, the policies in the organizations to achieve your IT goals? Because things are changing so rapidly, people can't afford to get attached to a certain way of being or doing. The leadership function, the management function has to be able to let go of, encourage people to let go of their death grip on what was in order to embrace what could be. So, and we're also, this is interesting, and I don't know that this is factually true, but I think it is. This is the first father-son interview that we've done together. So the Burks, Tim and Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Blaine. Nice to see you, Rhett.
Thank you.
Good.
Now, you've been, your company, Quest Technologies, has been in existence for over 30 years, I believe.
Close to 40 years. Yeah, in technology.
Coming up on 40, so flexible IT solutions that address customer challenges. That whole notion of change happening, and the challenges, I've got to bet, are almost always steeped in relational dynamics in some way, shape, or form. People have preferences about how stuff gets done because This is just the way I do things. This is just the way we do things around here. That's a relationship comment. What do you do to kind of, like I mentioned on the preface here, to have people let go of their death grip around preferences? Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, do you want to run with that question?
Sure.
Good handoff there, Dad.
Yeah.
Got to get him trained here on how to respond to that kind of question, but that's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah. So in IT, things change very, very quickly. And we've found success kind of approaching it in a couple different ways. But one way that's kind of key to us is typically pain and disruption and some type of an event will help change perspective. A lot of our competitors and a lot of people that we deal with in the IT market and technology kind of try to take the evangelism methodology and let's go out and take the hill and capture the market and go convince people that they need to change. Tim, before I came on board about 15 years ago, Tim built a very successful business working with organizations that are ready to be helped. And they kind of have to identify themselves as, hey, you know what? I've been struggling with this issue, it's always the same cycle. Doesn't matter if it's cloud or AI or cybersecurity or migration services or work from home. There's always a pain inflection point where people will throw up their hands and be like, I've tried it the same way I've done it for years. I need someone to come in and help me manage, support, maintain, or achieve this objective. And that's how we've been successful, kind of being there and being available to our clients and our partners to address that need.
Good.
Yeah. And I think what's key there too, Blaine and Rhett, is the idea that the industry, we work with a middle market, B2B middle market. So not enterprise, not the big, folks in the marketplace who, got a lot of heavy IT staffs and capabilities, but the middle market, with all this change over the last 30 or 40 years, we work with them from the standpoint when and if they need help. The predominant philosophy within the middle market, as well as the enterprise space, and it's promoted by vendors, is what we call DIY. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to try to do it ourselves. And as you pointed out, Blaine, this technology is happening so quick across the board, and it's been happening for many, many years, that people try to do the DIY approach. We support them however they want to do that, but we want to make ourselves available to them when they need help. So rather than coming in and giving them the big pitch about AI or here's what you need to do with cyber and here's the story, we work with them where they're at, and then understand where they're at and work with them accordingly. And when they raise their hand and say, we need some help, or as Adam points out, they have some pain or trouble, we work with them specifically on that, helping them with that pain and trouble. We used to try to help them beforehand, but that didn't meet with a lot of success. People, when you're installing you went to Home Depot and you bought the dishwasher and you brought it home and you told your wife you were going to install the dishwasher and everything was going to be fine, even though you've never installed a dishwasher in your life. And we don't get in the middle of that anymore and try to convince you you're not going to be able to be successful and you're not going to have a problem. We will advise you we're here to help when you need help, and then get involved when the dishwasher plumbing blows up or something. So that's just been a bit of a strategy of ours that's been helpful from our success, recognizing where customers are, what they need help with, and how can we help them. We go into meetings a lot of times with customers. They're waiting for us to give them our pitch, our PowerPoint. Here's what you should do. Here's all the pretty PowerPoint boxes moving across the screens and all the way it's supposed to all work. And they're very surprised when we actually say, what do you guys need? What are you trying to do? What are the challenges you have? And rather than trying to pitch them on a specific story. And part of that is you have to believe that there's enough opportunity out there to do that. And believe me, in the middle market, with a lot of clients and prospective clients, there's a lot of need out there for how we try to approach it.
Rhett?
So what I'm fascinated by is I'm curious about the. I work with a lot of mid, size companies, 50 million to 100 million sort of size.
Sure.
And you're absolutely right about there is a lot of DIY approach and until things kind of are a disaster. We have a lot of companies like that watch this program, a lot of entrepreneurs and founders that watch this program. And I'm curious from your perspective, what questions should they be asking when they go to hire somebody to help them with their technology solutions? I'm going to reverse it on you. I mean, what should they be asking you? What are the good questions to be asking?
Well, from our standpoint, what we like to engage with the clients is in asking us. We like to understand what they're trying to accomplish. So having them explain to us what they're trying to accomplish and where they have, what they feel they have their strengths and where they feel they have needs, rather than if you ask me, I need 5 references as an example. Great. Everybody can give you 5 references. But I would really suggest that the executive level of most companies need to really understand and ask us or ask their own people, what are their skill sets? Because what we find is at the executive level is oftentimes where the challenge is. They have a understanding or a thought that their team is trained and capable of doing what potentially needs to be done. And in all fairness to that IT team that they do have, I'm going to tell you I can do it because I need to keep my job, but you're asking me to get involved in cybersecurity, and those guys over in Belarus are really smart, and I'm not sure I really understand all the way they're doing what they're doing. And so being candid with your team and understanding what your team's capabilities are or not is critical. So I don't know if it's so much asking us about the questions. I think most executive level people need to have a very good understanding. Our finding is that most executive level people make a lot of assumptions about IT, default to IT oftentimes, and really don't do a good job with their IT people to really understand what they're trying to do and what they're not trying to do. As an example, in the cyberspace, the disaster recovery space, executives are assuming a lot of things, and we always are trying to understand what they're assuming about what their capabilities really are within their organization.
Yeah, if I was in a client's shoes, just to add on to what Tim is saying, and I wanted to understand who I was dealing with and kind of vet out suppliers, I would be and this is odd because a lot of people hold the cards close to the chest in these negotiation cycles. I would be as transparent as possible with what I was trying to achieve for my business using technology. Here's my end state that I'm trying to get to. Mm-hmm. Can you help me? And if you get back from them, hey, buy this product or sign up for this license, then you're not dealing with someone who's actually even heard a word that you just said. You're dealing with someone who's pushing a product or a SKU or a license, and you're in Home Depot and you're talking to someone in an orange apron, and they're telling you to buy a GE versus a Samsung, and they're great and they're awesome. A lot of people are very successful doing that. But if you can share the outcome and then actually have a conversation around, the different things that could help you get there, that's how we've typically been very successful, is getting that conversation. And a lot of people don't want to have that outcome-based conversation because it's hard. It's really, really hard to land the plane and get those things right.
Yeah, and I think to that point, Adam, in my experience, most people are far more clear about what they don't want than what they do want. And Yeah, if you can facilitate a conversation about, well, what do you want, and now how do we get there from here? That sounds to me like that. I mean, I'm very intrigued with the way that you've managed to carve out a niche for yourself here that is different than most purveyors of IT technologies. It's kind of like we started in a garage 35 years ago, and now we've got a global footprint in terms of the client base that suggests that you're doing something right. Yeah. And I'm very encouraged to hear how you're actually positioning this. People can find out more about you. It's Quest Technology Management, but the website is questsys.com. Questsys.com. Quest Technology Management. So, Tim and Adam, thank you very much for gracing our show. Greatly appreciated. Again, apologies that David's not here to join us today. His name is the marquee name on this, but we'll get you back on another show where he is available.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Have a great holiday.
Appreciate it.
There we go. Number 818 in the box.
Yeah, done. Check. That was a good one. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been good.
Yeah. Putting up with
Takeaway.
me.
Yeah. What do you got going today? What are you walking away with?
I am walking away with, I think I like this theme today, sort of family businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that you can work with a father and a son and a mother and a son and actually create something. And, I've coached a few family companies, and boy, there was a lot of tension and a lot of, I'd never told you about having to fire my own brother, but, that makes me smile, because I think that's really neat that you can have these companies that are lasting 30 and 40 years and still growing, still innovating, still, doing it really well. And even amongst generations, there's, each generation's bringing something new and
Oop, did I lose you? Oops, looks like we lost Rhett there. Okay. I'm assuming I'm still in the show. So my takeaway here, and I want to thank you folks for listening. I made the joke about, designing a perfect organization and screwing it up when we put people in it. The antidote to that is paying attention to relationships. That's what I'm taking away with this. Whether I'm designing a big gala and I want to have an experience, the whole idea of creating content, is one thing, but having a community that actually connects, that's what a business is a community that's connected. And to the degree that the relationships are working well, and I love, both Tim and Adam here, being able to look at that and go, okay, this relationship's working pretty well. And if the relationships are working well, you got a pretty good shot at being successful. And that's, just all kinds of relationship stuff, just the interpersonal as well as relationship with everything else. So speaking of relationship, we're back in harness here. Good to have you back again, my friend. We were just signing off.
I don't know. Okay. Well,
love technology
when
it works. It creates interesting openings when it doesn't work.
Yes, it does. All right.
Have a great rest of your
Thank
week,
you, Rhett.
folks. Thank you for listening. This is Office Hours, a Solo Business edition. My partner in crime, Rhett Power, and me, I'm Blaine Bartlett, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.